Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙥𝙥 channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Apologies for the delay. We have so much content to share with you today. Joining me is Sriram Seshadri, and we are going to take a real in-depth look at this Manipur problem. Where is the root cause and more. So please like this video, and if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please do so. Let's welcome the guest of the evening, Sriram Seshadri. Sriramji, namaskar and welcome to 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙥𝙥 channel.
Namaskar, Sree Iyerji. Thank you for having me here for this important discussion, very important topic, which is burning in the country and probably being used to set a narrative all over the world. So definitely we should dwell into this, into this topic.
Absolutely, sir. I'll let you go in with an initial statement, and then
Sure.
I have some data to share with our viewers. So, but first, please, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Dear viewers, we saw about a couple of days back a viral video being circulated in social media where the Meiteis people taking two Kuki tribal women nude and parading them. We are nowhere. This is a highly condemnable, heinous crime by those perpetrators. No mercy to them. They need to be treated as per the laws and then probably given a punishment to that effect. But what happens here is all over the world and in India, there is a pattern that we see, and then there is a set of narrative being set. The pattern, I'll come to it first, and then we'll go a little deeper into the Manipur crisis. The pattern is in the last 2 years or since 2019 onwards, mostly, whenever the parliament session is coming, new parliament session is initiated, a day before or 2 days before, some crisis or the other comes to foray, and then the parliament is blocked and the government passes all the bills without debate. So they want to use this as a narrative building, both nationally and internationally. And there is a narrative that is being built across the world that the government is perpetuating, or government is in an ethnic cleansing mode. These are the sort of narrative that is being set. So we want to bust that narrative and put the facts in front of our viewers. First, let's go back to what is the conflict in Manipur. There are two sets of clan or two sets of community in Manipur. One is the Kukis, which is a scheduled tribe. They are the tribal people who actually live in the hills. And Manipur, if you know that geographically, it is a valley surrounded by all the ways by hills. And the valley portion where there is another set of community, Meiteis, who live. Most 80 to 90% of the Meiteis are Hindus, and over 60% of Kukis are Christians, converted Christians. That is the demography of this. And Manipur is being used as, especially the tribal area, only the Kukis can own land and then buy property, which is about 40% of the population in Manipur is Kukis, and then 60% population is Meiteis. And Meiteis are confined to the 10% of the landmass. Remaining 90% of the landmass is enjoyed by the tribe because of the certain statutory restrictions that is there. So the Meiteis had been fighting for last 50 years to get a recognition as a tribal. And then because they are also tribe, they are also a native tribe of Manipur, and they want to get the recognition as a tribal status so that they can equally hold lands in the hilly regions or the tribal areas. 4 months back, Manipur High Court actually gave a guidance to the state. The state assembly is dominated by the Meiteis. About 52 to 55% of the MLAs are from Meiteis, and then remaining from Kuki community. State High Court, Manipur State High Court, gave a guidance to the state assembly to consider. They didn't pass an order. They just said consider giving tribal status to Meiteis. If you also observe, last 10 years, Northeast had always been neglected by Congress throughout. And in the last 10 years, a normalcy had been returning in the Northeast. even if you say that, last 5 to 6 years, one cannot find any major riots or any major conflict in northeastern region. And a lot of development started happening. And why this development is irking so many people? Two sets of people are getting disturbed by this. Number one, the conversion mafia, which is which almost converted the northeast by 90 odd percentage, or 80 to 90% converted. Remaining, they want to convert and then keep this. More importantly, the drug lords, because Manipur is being used as a opium, cultivation. This ganja and poppy seed cultivation farmers are the maximum in Manipur area. And if you look at last 2 years, last 5 years, there have been assertive action, especially after the BJP government came in the state, and with the help of the center, assertive actions has been put in place. Yes.
Sir, we just wanted to share this slide with you. Over 370 terrorists arrested, 1,300 crores drug seized in Manipur in the last 2 years alone. We just wanted to share this information with our viewers. This is a war against drugs, drug peddlers, and just not cookies. There's another community involved in this. We will come to that in one moment. Sriramji, over to you. Finish your thoughts, sir, then I'll come back with more data.
Yeah, sure. So this is the conflict, the problem. This is a root cause of the conflict. The root cause of the conflict is Meiteis want to have access to the land, and the drug lords see that the development happening in northeast, it is disturbing to them that they are not able to easily cultivate the drugs. So this is actually a war on the state rather than two small community fighting. I think this is the grave situation of Manipur. And in fact, we will talk about it during the show, that it's just not Manipur, and then where are these problems getting spread. But coming to the current crisis, last 4 months or something, the Kukis who have access to terrorist weapons, AK-47 guns, which are being supplied by Myanmar and the Rohingya Muslims. Yes, sir.
Sorry, we have a video to share with you. Guys, this is a video where it shows a bunch of Kuki militants with the latest weaponry crossing from Mizoram into Manipur. Let's have that video, please. So the question that needs to be asked is, Sriramji, for you and I to even get a pocket revolver like a .38 Smith & Wesson, we have to go through like 100 different permits and applications and justify the reason. Watch the submachine guns that they are carrying.
Exactly. Very high, high-end weaponry. Yeah, very high-end weaponry. Only the military-grade weaponry is being used by them. And they have a vantage point of being at an elevated place. So from an elevated place, they can shoot at Meiteis and then, create this conflict. So the fundamental reason for this conflict happening in Manipur, as we see, and as the last 2 days, we have been made to believe that this is actually a shame on the country. And every Indian should hang their head on shame, because, of course, we are not justifying for a moment what happened, and then that perpetrators had to be, punished. No mercy at all, no questions at all. But what these cookies are trying to do is, by publicizing this video alone, what they are trying to say is they are the victim and Meiteis are the predators. It is actually the other way around. There are actually, I couldn't show, there are a lot more, disturbing
graphic videos. Yes. Graphic pictures, limbs broken.
Pictures, and there are a lot of gruesome pictures that, I had, and then probably it will not be appropriate for us to share it in such a forum, which shows even a 4-month, 6-month-old children are not spared by these cookies of the Meiteis community. They just come and then massacre them, kill them, and then go back into their woods. And then, from there to crossing over to Myanmar is much more easier because there are routes that are available to cross over to Myanmar. And they just cross over to Myanmar and no action could be taken. If you look at, especially in the last 4 months, the highest deployment of defense forces, especially the Assam Rifles and BSF, I think about over 40,000 soldiers are being placed in Manipur just to curtail this, or ensure that this doesn't escalate beyond certain limits. In fact, of course, this incident happened in the first week of May. FIR filed in 14th or 18th of May, and then this video becomes viral on 20th, 19th or 20th of July, and then the arrest happens in July. Why did the police not act? Why did the government not act? Why did not Prime Minister give a statement on that? I think Prime Minister was more sensible enough to not talk about it beyond a point, because Amit Shah, the Home Minister, was hands-on, doing the curtailing this violence and riots in Manipur. And only blame that I would make on BJP and the government is they are incommunicado. They actually don't communicate what is necessary to the public, and then they all wait for, and this is a reactive communication. In this case, there should have been a proactive communication. There should have been over communication of the foreign hands that are being played in northeastern state through Myanmar and through the Rohingya terrorists who just infiltrate and then use our territory for the drug cultivation and then drug distribution, and that should have been exposed. And the second aspect that the government is not doing is, if at all there is a spokesperson from the government or party comes and lays down the communication, I'll come to that, and lays down the communication, they are arrogant communication happens from the government. I think that's where they have a problem. So there was a question saying that, say for a moment, I'm not trying to justify what happened there, but please, viewers, you should understand what is a larger picture, what is a larger issue in Manipur. Let's not be emotional about one incident. There are hundreds of incidents that the CM also said. There are hundreds of incidents that has happened. Only one issue that came out, which is creating a victimhood on Kukis. My sympathies are there with that ladies, because their honor and dignity was was raided by a certain set of mob. No, I'm not here to justify their mob action here. I'm not even trying to justify that it's a retaliatory action by them. No way. What they did was a heinous crime. They need to be punished, to the highest level of punishment. No doubt about it. But please do understand, it is just beyond the eye meets. Right, Manipur issue is not just this one activity or one incident alone. There are a lot more that has been happening for over more than 20 plus years, and it's just on the last straw on the camel, and then that is coming out of it. And this is now spreading to Mizoram also. I think we might want to show the details of that also, Iyer, or if you want to just place that on record. That it's not
just 1 second, sir. Just 1 second, sir. Just 1 second, sir. We are putting something up. This is the number of people arrested in Manipur drugs cases community-wise for the last 6 years. Take a look at the numbers, guys. This is every year the numbers are being given, and some assholes, that's the only way I can say, are trying to say that we are peddling lies. This is government data, okay? And a couple of Meiteis villages have been wiped out. Don't give us BS here. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so look at the number of people arrested, and last 2 years it's about 1,300 crores worth of the drug or poppy cultivation was destroyed by the government, and the action is happening only for last 5 years. Please do remember that it is only from 2018 very strong action is being taken, not before. And that is why everybody is looking at Manipur. Unfortunately, both the places, BJP government, center and Manipur, there's a BJP government. But imagine 2019 in Rajasthan, a similar incident of a tribal woman was tied to a post and then gang raped in front of the husband's eyes, and Congress government wanted to keep that news away. There are a lot more incidents. I'm not talking about whataboutery. What happened to the Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir? They are the set of people, more than 5 lakh Kashmiri Hindus lived as a refugee in their own country. They have been driven out of their homes. So rather than being a whataboutery, I also want to criticize the Honorable Chief Justice, who wanted to take it as a suo motu case. Of course, he has to take this as a suo motu case. Take the state and the government to task, question them what happened, why there was a delay. Equally, his rage should have been on the West Bengal post-poll violence, where women were molested in the streets. All the news that came out from West Bengal was highly disturbing, even including Calcutta High Court issued strictures to the state government for not curtailing the violence and molestation on women. But Honorable Chief Justice or Supreme Court didn't take any cognizance of that. This is where I feel there is a one-sided story that gets peddled, and I'm very, very uncomfortable with that one-sided story. Let's lay the truth in front of all of you. Look at the truth and then decide for yourself, and then start understanding why this narrative building is happening, that too a day before a parliament session that starts. I think the timing is questioned. Of course, government also should have acted in the last 70 days, 80 days when this incident had happened and then FIR had been booked. I don't know what stopped them from doing it. Let's also take government for task. But at the same time, don't fall for one-sided story, and then don't fall for an emotional issue on this. And that's where I want to lay it. And the second aspect that I want to say it, now that the Manipur is a hard-hit area for the drugs to travel through to Myanmar, they have just shifted the camp through Mizoram. So it's not too long a period that a similar incidents or similar issue will start happening in Mizoram, because the route through which drugs travel from Manipur to Myanmar, because that is blocked because of 40,000 armed forces being stationed, and then so many nakas or so many checkposts that have been put, and then every vehicle is being searched and checked. Now the drug is moving through Mizoram route. I think we have a news on that also here. If you may share that information, and then you can interject on that.
Yes, I'll just take a couple of minutes of your time, viewers, and I'm going to share a couple more other things that happened in the last few months, which did not unfortunately get mentioned in the MSM, mainstream media. MSM also has a role to play. They only selectively pick what they want to show and not the others. And again, the Bollywood gang comes in and starts getting outraged. Come on, Meiteis villages have been wiped out. Let's take a quick look at something else. Can we have the slide deck, please? Do you see this line of women here? Manipur's women protested holding hands. This was miles-long line. And this took place in June 2023. The problem is that Kukis, being in the higher areas, using snipers, can pick off anybody at any time. Yes, parading 2 naked women is wrong. We are not condemning that. But this also happened. Why are you not taking cognizance of that? And also, these days it has become fashionable for people to put in fake names whatever they want to put by way of comments. We don't want to shut down the genuine comment, which is why we're allowing these things. But if you make irresponsible comments, we will shut you down. That specific commenter. Just wanted to let you know. Next one, please. The group who were protesting, they are called Mira Paibi, and they are the guardians of civil society, forming human chain to protest against the inhuman actions by the Kuki militants to safeguard the territorial integrity of Manipur and bring peace and harmony in the state. This took place on the 17th of June 2023, about a month ago. How many of you knew about this? Other than social media, a few handles, nobody else knew about it. And again, I saw the pictures that Sriramji shared with me. I can't, share them. Mutilated, amputated limbs, children being killed, and charred to death, and villages after villages being torched, where there is a 50-50 distribution of Kukis and Meiteis. What they want to do is to drive out the Meiteis. The idea is this, very simple, guys. They want a Kuki land. And for that, they want to also not only have Kuki land, they also want to have a grab of the valley. They want to come down to that place. So what they are trying to do is make it very difficult for one community to live in some areas and then start occupying that completely and then claiming that this is all our land, we want a separate state. I think this is a big plan, and I completely agree with Sriramji. For the longest time, I think for 7-8 years now, I've been telling that the Modi government needs to have a presser every day, like the way it happens in White House. You want to have a presidential form of government, Mr. Modi, then follow through with it. Not selective pieces here and there, okay? Have a press conference every day, factual. You can take questions on that. Have a good, effective speaker. I even mentioned Syed Akbaruddin, IAS officer, I think IFS, I think. He was the last appointment for him was as UN ambassador from India. Very effective speaker. And he would have really taken on these things. Very beautifully done. These are the things that you miss. I don't know who advises the Prime Minister and Mr. Amit Shah. This is the 2.5% government, in my humble opinion. The half being the Ajit Doval, who comes in with some information on the security. That is what this government is. And it is showing they are not able to respond quick enough to some of these hot items. That is what is the problem here. So next slide, please. Is there another slide there? I think there was another slide. Just 1 second, sir. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead, sir. After you, back to you.
One more point to add, Shree, here for the viewers. There was also Army released a video when the Army went to take actions and control. The Kuki woman came out and then said they just started removing their dress, and then Army walked back. In fact, these are some of the issues that are fundamentally happening in Manipur. Not just this last 4 months. We are all talking about in the short-term memory of 4 months. I think you need to go back to last 20 years, what has been happening. And there's a set of students who came out yesterday, if I'm not wrong, to the press and then said, they talked about what happened in the last 12 years, 2012 onwards, what happened, 2012-13, some of the policy decisions that have been put together. In fact, these are the students who are not associated to Congress or BJP, nor not any other party. But they actually came out and then showed that, what actions that has been taken in the last 5-6 years and described the last 20 years problem. I think, we all need to, go deeper whenever there is a crisis issue that has been thrown at our face through social media, selective narrative being thrown at us. We actually have our own responsibility to go and look at what is a fundamental issue. We need to actually dig deeper into it to understand what are the fundamental issues behind it. Then we can make an informed decision. Of course, everybody is have the right to make their own opinion about it. But my request to you all is, just don't jump into it emotionally. Instead, start looking at the bigger picture of what are those issues. Of course, all these incidents are condemnable. All these incidents or crimes have to be punished. No questions about it. We are condemning those actions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sriramji. And we have another topic to discuss, very important. So stay with us and we'll try and accommodate as many questions as possible. But the second topic is equally hot, equally important. And viewers, P. Gurus was among the few who talked about one minister, DMK minister, Mr. Ponmudi, and how his and his son Gautam, their properties have been attached by ED several years ago. I have written this thing on pgurus.com. I'll put the link of that in the description section so you can read. This is not new. What is happening to Ponmudi today is not new. By the way, this is the great person who characterized all North Indians living in Tamilnadu as Pani Puri sellers. And his other son is the Tamil Nadu Cricket Association president. I don't buy for a minute that, Amit Shah is not friendly towards DMK. This should have not happened. DMK had no business place in cricket. Because I'll tell you, I'll give you, I won't explain why, but the meritocracy that existed in cricket will also go away in a short while. They are there to just ruin things. I don't know what kind of infinite wisdom Mr. Amit Shah uses when he allows all these things to happen. Very upset with that, but anyway, that's a different topic. Back to Ponmudi, sir. Oh, take it away.
Okay, 20-second digression on cricket. From the time when Sharad Pawar and Jaitley and all those politicians became, board members of respective state or the BCCI, I think, we lost cricket as a game, in my opinion, humble opinion. That's why, I most probably watch cricket as a stress buster rather than not a vivid follower or like any other Indians.
Don't get emotional over it. I completely agree with you. It's such a tamasha. It is Nura Kushti. That's what is happening. And even test matches are not being left alone anymore. IPL was a given that was being gamed. But that it has come to now test matches is very, very sad. And whenever I say anything or put a video, Sriramji, to my utter disappointment, very knowledgeable people who otherwise have given very good comments, they say, Sree, stay out of cricket. God damn it, I have done research and I have published a book. Why don't you dispute what I have written about the book? Who painted my last red? Yeah. I have told you why this happened. I mean, emotion needs to go out, guys. Learn to think without emotion. Objectively, you have to think. You'll be a better person for it. Sorry for this lecture. Sir, back to Ponmudi.
Okay. See, Ponmudi is a minister, part of cabinet today and he has been a minister whenever DMK had been in power. He has been a DMK loyalist for last 50 years, ever since he joined politics. His trouble started happening when he was the current case on which the ED is pursuing him. That started when he was a minister for mines during 2006 to 2011 time frames in Mr. Karunanidhi's government. And that point in time, he allocated the red sand mines to his son, the current son who is an MP today, and their relatives, through which there is a loss to exchequer for several crores. And that was a case that was booked as a DVAC case. It is a prevention of corruption case when Jayalalitha came to power in 2011. I think the case was registered in 2013. What happened is during that period, all the investigations happened, and then enforcement director also has filed its ECIR, which is equivalent to the first FIR of any criminal proceeding. I think in the year 2017 or 18, if I'm not wrong. And they were actually looking at his portfolio and then trying to find whether he has laundered money. Every case, when you look at, in DMK's regime, Iyer, there is a pattern that is emerging. One, in Sendil Balaji's case, they went to in 2021 when DMK government came to the state, formed the government. They went to the court, quashed the FIR. The case was withdrawn. The case was quashed. In Ponmudi's case, there are two cases that was lodged during 2000 Jayalalitha regime. One was he actually acquired government land in heart of city, and he was actually acquitted. Not acquitted. That case itself was closed about 3 weeks before. And on June 6th, if I'm not wrong, he went to Madras High Court to quash this case also. The reason why all the DMK ministers are going to court and then asking the court to quash the case and not getting an acquittal through a trial is the moment the case is quashed, the original FIR itself is closed, and hence you cannot file EC cannot file a case because there is no predicate offense. Only when there is a predicate offense under Prevention of Corruption Act or income beyond the source of wealth, beyond the sources of known sources of income, only those DVAC FIRs are there. ED can come in as a predicate offense and then file a ED case and then probe on that. That's why minister after minister after minister are going to the court to get themselves, relieved from the case, not acquittal. They want them to be discharged from the case and then quash the case. Fortunately, Madras High Court said that this is a Prevention of Corruption Act. One has to go through the trial motion, and then only the case can be decided. So ED came into play after Senthil Balaji's episode got over. ED came into play. They raided Ponmudi's house in both in the constituency Viluppuram and in Chennai, and then they actually took him for 13-hour interrogation. They have not arrested him, but I think what transpired was he had a significant amount of foreign exchange in cash at home, had a fixed deposit in bank for about 47 crore. Normally, nobody has it, those much of fixed deposit, but he seems to have. Maybe those are the legally earned, income, if I'm not wrong. But what transpired was he bought a company in Indonesia about a year back for 47 lakh Indian rupees, and within 4 to 6 months' time, sold that company for 100 crores.
Wow. Who was the unfortunate buyer?
And one is talking about Adani, Ambani creating wealth and then making money. Imagine less than a year, someone is able to convert a 47 lakh investment to 100 crores is what? Thousands of percentage of, value generation, wealth and value generation. And this is where the ED comes into play, and then probably the sale itself is a bogus sale that, they just routed their own money to Indonesia and then bought this company. And that's what Enforcement Directorate is looking at this case. So far, no arrest had been made. And then, Annamalai actually listed out a list of properties worth about 5,000 odd crores in his DMK files part 1. And that is where all the family members are being interrogated now for, on the basis of the case registered in 2013, on a prevention of corruption case. There's a lot of revelation that has happened, especially through the raid. Enforcement Directorate has come to know of a lot more transactions that were not in public. And Enforcement Directorate has released this as a public, information through their Twitter. There's another minister, Anitha Radhakrishnan, who was with ADMK and then came to DMK, and then he had been a minister even in the ADMK regime with Jayalalitha, and he had been a minister in DMK regime between 2006 to 2011. Similarly, a case had been registered on him on income disproportionate to his wealth disproportionate to his income. A DVSE case, prevention of corruption case, had happened, and ED filed a ECIR in 2020. When 2021, there was summons issued on Anitha Radhakrishnan, and then he went to Madras High Court and then took a stay for the proceedings of ED. So ED was stayed from investigating it further. Of course, ED appealed to Supreme Court. Supreme Court in December 2022 gave a guidance to Madras High Court to discharge and vacate the stay on merit. They didn't actually rule it. Unlike in Senthil Balaji case, Supreme Court vacated the stay by Madras High Court. In this case, they just said, on the merit of the case, vacate the stay. But Madras High Court continued to, keep the stay on, the interim stay on. In the meantime, what's happening is in Tuticorin court, this case has come for trial. This is where Enforcement Directorate jumped in, because Anitha Radhakrishnan, what he will do is, because DBAC is under the current government, so they will actually they'll actually trivialize the case, a quick trial, and he will be discharged, acquitted, and Anitha Radhakrishnan will come to Madras High Court and then say, quash the FIR itself, because this was there was no case at all. So to prevent that, Enforcement Directorate has actually attached themselves in the case in the trial. They said, we have so much of evidences that we can help the government to progress in the case, and then they have actually filed a suit in Tuticorin Special Court, which is conducting a trial. So Enforcement Directorate is not allowing any rooms to any one of the ministers. So in the last 2 months, there have been significant amount of enforcement directorate activity in Tamil Nadu. But what the DMK is trying to project, they have been witch hunted. Okay, there is a political vendetta. But none of the case that we talked about, I think we talked at length about Senthil Balaji case, Iyer, at this show, and Ponmudi's case and Anitha Radhakrishnan case. None of these cases are without, it's all being supervised by the court. It's just not that enforcement directorate is taking a political vendetta. Please remember, viewers, enforcement directorate under prevention of PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, cannot file or arrest a person without evidence. If they do, the officer who performed that action of arrest is punishable by the same law for 2 years. So no officer is going to bend to the political pressure to arrest. I think this is where the understanding of the viewer should come in. I'll pause here, Sree, here for any questions from you. Otherwise, we'll open to our viewers' questions.
Sriramji, this one thing that is happening now busts the bubble that DMK felt that we are in power, we can do whatever we want, and clearly they are able to influence some justices in the Madras High Court. I'm not going to make any specific names, because it's evident from the rulings. That's all I can tell you. And viewers, we want to open this floor for questions, but please keep your questions reasonable and on the topic. If you ask a question which is outside the topic, we may not be able to answer this question. Let's have the question and answers, please. Pawan Kishore wants to know, the selective outrage on Manipur by political parties is expected, but why is Supreme Court selective on its approach? Why a statement in Manipur and not a single word on Bengal by the Supreme Court?
So this is exactly the point, Pawan Kishore, that, Honorable Chief Justice Sumoto picked up on that. Of course, he had every right to do that, because he has to do that because it's his, Supreme Court is a custodian of our constitution. So if any constitutional function is failing, then he has a right to step in. But the selective amnesia is what we are questioning. Even for the CJI, political parties, we are questioning that, because entire country, the narrative is being laid. More so in Tamil Nadu, Sree, for your information, last 2 days, the media, the mainstream media, and there are about 23 channels associated with the DMK propaganda, is hitting at least 3 or 4 videos on Manipur last 2 days. And then, trying to blame. Yes, blame it. No problem about it. But it is not, there's a one side of the story alone is where there is a narrative being set. And in a way, people are becoming more and more emotional about it. And then, they actually divert the question saying that, what are all the failures of DMK government, especially women's safety in the DMK government. And as we talk about it, there was a case in Chennai where a woman was, hacked to death in a 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪 railway station 2 days back. And there was another murder happened and a woman was chopped in another part of the city, which has not come to public. Only Polymer News actually put up a story. No other media has carried the story. So even the political parties, the respective state government, want to create a narrative, and then CJ unfortunately has fallen for it too. He has every right to question, no doubt about it, Pawan Kishore, but he should have questioned the other incidents from Bengal also. Especially in Bengal, the Calcutta High Court has been issuing strictures, but CJ and Supreme Court was silent about it.
So this goes back to what I said, that if the government has a habit of putting out press conferences, you can get ahead of the story, right?
Exactly. That's true.
Rahul Rathod wants to know, central and state governments need to learn from UP to handle law and order. Manipur is burning down 70 days so far, and government is unable to handle it. Up to 7 days is understood, but 70 days now, your views, sir.
Rahul, while we are 70 days is a huge, period to, bring law and order back to normal. Remember, when there is a communal riot, when there is a riot and there is a problem happening between two communities, a normalcy takes long time. I'll give you just a simple example. I'm not going to take a college name, but there is a very known popular university, private university in Chennai, where people from Northeast come and study. I've actually observed that people from Manipur who are Kuki and Meiteis in this university, they both actually will be fighting to each other. They are miles and thousands of miles away from home, but that animosity between these two communities, keeps on going on, even when in the place where they have come to study. And that is the level of the grassroots of the problem that is happening in Manipur between these two communities. Both have suffered, both have lost life, both side the woman has been molested, but selective amnesia, selective propaganda is what is happening now. It will take some more time. Of course, there is a normalcy that has returned, but with a heavy amount of security forces being deployed, it will take much more longer before this is sorted out. Remember another thing, this is an armed crisis. If it is just a mob attack between two communities with clubs and probably sickles or knives, much more easy to control. But there's a forest area and there is a border crossing that happens without much problem, because especially these people will know intricate routes to cross over to Myanmar, and they have sophisticated weapon. So it's not going to be just easy to curtail this. I think we need to be sympathetic about the armed forces also there.
Next question, please. AZ wants to know, is the Manipur violence sponsored by external elements?
Of course, there are reason to believe it, especially the drug lords who are belonging to Myanmar. And then there is, you saw the list of people who got arrested. These are Rohingya Muslims and Bangladeshi Muslims that come through that. And I'm sure, I will not rule out this propaganda is being done by George Soros and helping this propaganda being done by George Soros. I will not rule that out. Definitely, China's involvement is there, because through Myanmar, China is influencing these activities. And the moment there is a drug, which is an internationally traded drug, naturally there are other governments or the other external forces come to play.
We also shared about the information about Arakan Army, Arakan Army, coming to their help, training and also supplying very sophisticated weapons. I mean, we have been one of the first ones to identify this problem months ago. And see, it's very simple logic, guys. One community lives in the valley. The other community lives around them in hills. And they have sniper rifles. Who do you think is going to win this? In fact, there are pictures where the farmers are farming their land with protection from the army. They're standing around on the edge of the land being killed.
Yeah.
This is a wrong information being put out. What boggles my mind is many intellectuals get carried away into this and react emotionally. Please, this is a very, very mischievous piece of agenda being driven out. We're not saying that this did not happen. The other side has suffered much worse, much worse. Next question, please. Magnet Ranga wants to know, there would be sufficient info on external entities stoking this trouble, but do we know who the internal entities are? Any action against them?
I'm sure government would have information about the internal entities. There had been, if you understand the Northeast, it has been a troubled area for decades. The Nagas, we have seen when 2014, when this government came, the Naga crisis ended. Assam, the militancy ended, and in Manipur, Mizoram, all these militancies ended. R.N. Ravi, who was a governor in Nagaland, sorted out all those problems. In fact, when the terrorists came and then hit us and then went to Myanmar, India did their first surgical strike in Myanmar. Of course, they went and hit
2015.
the camps. Right? So
Yeah.
we know who are all the internal entities. Internal entities are some of these tribes and some of these terrorist organizations, and of course poppy farmers. There is also poppy people who are getting benefited by the poppy farmers, the drug mafias, who are probably are living across between you and me, amongst us also. But I'm sure government knows who are these internal entities who are getting beneficial about it, and then they actually will take some actions on them. There are militant organization that they have identified, which probably the actions will be once again military action. That is why the large contingent of defense forces in Manipur, and then closing down all the routes to Myanmar. That's why I said the drug trafficking has moved to Mizoram. Now the attention has to be shown to Mizoram also.
Before we go to the next question, a few years ago, I think 2016 or 2017, right around the time Flipkart was acquired by Walmart. I had put a video, Sriramji, where Flipkart found amazingly that bulk of the sales in Northeast from Flipkart was that of cell phones. And all these cell phones were being bought for pickup from the Flipkart's own office in Aizawl.
Oh.
Which is the capital of Mizoram. And we were just wondering, why would this population have 3 times the number of cell phones of the local population? Turns out that these are all phones that were being smuggled out of the country and then being used, because if you see 91 area country code, then you think it's a local call, right? You end up picking it up. So guys, mischief of every kind is being conjured in India. The terrain is very, very easy to go in and out of all these countries. What needs to really happen is us as consciously as possible, we need to be alert. If you find something unusual, act on it. Call the police, or sometimes you may be able to just get rid of it yourself. This is important. We are living. Don't expect the government to do everything. There are lots of things an alert person can find out. For example, I have seen a couple of times in deep south conversations between two people who don't look like Tamil people, having in a language that nobody understands. This guy goes to a pettikadai, that is the pawn shop kind of, the PAN, pawn shop, and then he'll point and buy. Can't even speak. Now the question is, where the heck did he come from? So the permeation of foreign people in India is massive, extensive, and they are being done with the view to resettle them, to change the demographics of a particular constituency, so that somebody that they want will win, because these are vote banks captured and for use. And you are seeing that in Karnataka today. Yesterday we talked about it with Sumit Peer. So you know what I'm talking about. This is going to continue. So
and
next question.
Imagine the floods in Delhi is going to give Arvind Kejriwal an opportunity to give all the government IDs for people, illegal immigrants, who didn't have those IDs before.
But they can say that you can only renew, right? Why do you have to issue new IDs?
Because they will say that I lost it. My IDs.
Sir, but the biometric is already in place. They can just go and look at the biometric, either it is fingerprint or their eye, and then the computer database can go and do a match and then give you your existing card.
No, what will happen, Sree, here is they will not go to Aadhaar. They'll actually go and take a ration card alone. Because that's a fundamental identity. Once they have a ration card, they will actually go for an Aadhaar card or voter ID after 6, 7 months or 10 months down the line. They'll take at least one form of government ID at this point in time, saying that that's the only thing they lost that, and then that is how they are going to do that. And you will look at when the Delhi elections Delhi comes for election, all of a sudden there will be a jump in number of registered voters. When that happens, we'll have a conversation on that.
Sir, in my opinion, there should be a regular train running from north all the way to the Bangladesh border, and there should be a camp set up even at India's expense inside Bangladesh, so that all these people first you go and put them there, catch them
Yeah.
every day, and this train should be like very limited stops and not allow anyone to get out. Otherwise, only the driver and conductor will be there by the time the train reaches Bangladesh. But we
Yeah.
have to make a point. Israel has
Yeah.
done it. One country surrounded by 10 belligerent countries, aggressive countries around. Yet they are afraid of this. So who's bigger?
Yes.
Next
True.
one,
True.
please. Vidyut Kargutkar wants to know. So this is going Kashmir way, ethnic and religious cleansing targeting Hindus, but propaganda across the globe that only Christians or Muslims are being targeted?
Yes, with you to some extent, yes. But only difference between Kashmir and here is this is limited to Manipur, where the population of Meiteis is larger than the Kukis, unlike the Muslims and Pandit population in Kashmir. And second, fortunately or unfortunately, the number of Meiteis MLAs come to Manipur assembly is larger than the Kukis, whereas in Kashmir, the legislators were most of Muslims, and only in Jammu area there would be Pandits who would come into, or Hindus that would come into. And there was a war cry coming from Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and then a lot of external insurgency that was happening. Here also it does happen, but slowly this is getting built up. I think we learned our lessons from Kashmir, inaction from Kashmir, and Kashmir also had a similar to all these northeastern states had a Article 370 which was abrogated. But whereas here, at least it is not as blatant a country within a country. At least Kashmir was country within India, whereas Northeast is not so. Government of India has much more control over the northeastern regions, unlike Kashmir. To some extent, yes, it is a starting point, one may say so.
Next question, please. Vinay Dhotre wants to know, Sriram sir, so many incidents a day before Parliament start by opposition to disrupt proceedings. Why only we brothers at P Gurus discuss, news channels discuss? Why not BJP government highlight?
So this is what I told Vinay. Both party and government don't have a communication mechanism. They need to be over communicating on these aspects. At least the government should have a daily presser to explain what actions are being taken. Sree Iyer talked about Syed Akbaruddin, someone like that, who actually from the PMO's office meets the press, communicates. And from the party, we don't have a proper communicator. I miss Jaitley here. He would have been an excellent communicator. Ravi Shankar Prasad, he is not allowed to come to the media at all. He would have explained things very, extremely well. But who are the set of people that are coming to media, even in national channels? They are more emotional, they are more arrogant, and those spokespersons don't come prepared for the questions to answer them. So I think both ways, the communication is a biggest challenge for this government as well as BJP as a party. If you look at Congress, you will have Abhishek Manu Singh, erstwhile, Kapil Sibal used to be there. At least people like Kapil Sibal, Pawan Khera. You can name at least 10, 15 people who are excellent communicators, who will come on board, and then they will actually set the narrative. In BJP as a party, they miss this, and government should ideally start at least frequent meeting of the press, especially on such sensitive issues. They need to keep feeding the public with proper data. At least the government is taking action. If you look at, I actually wrote retweeted the list of actions taken in the last 4 months. If one goes through that, and none of that is just a compiled data, or cooked up data. It's all media reports compiled. Why couldn't the government do that? Why couldn't the party do that? That's what I was surprised. There are individuals who keep, in the social media, keep propagating to the best of our knowledge and abilities. But ideally, a party which has access to all these information should do that. And my request through this show to the party is at least, bring brilliant communicators to communicate this, exchange of information is very, very important. They are actually more reactive. The moment there is a issue happens, and then Congress and opposition party, creates a ruckus in the parliament, then they go on a reactive mode. By then the game is lost.
Next question, please. Narayan P wants to know, what is the real political reason when it comes to BJP's behavior about the situation of Manipur?
See, there is no political reason, Narayan. Important is a very sensitive area. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you go with a very heavy military action on the militants there could be a significant amount of common public, collateral damage. So you have to be very, very careful there. That is why they stopped internet. They actually curtailed certain communication happening between the state and outside. So I don't think so. There is any political reason behind it. I feel that they acted responsibly. They acted sensibly. Of course, the 70 days before when this issue came and then FIR was filed, they could have taken an action. The moment it became viral and within 24 hours, if they were able to capture that person, the police probably had access to that person before also. Or the person was hiding, and then the moment it became viral, they went on a hunt and then caught him. Either way, these are some of the things perception building the party and the government had to do. Unfortunately, they missed here is my point of view.
Rahul Rathod wants to know your views on government's inability to counter selective outrage and propaganda. It is happening now every time, yet they are unable to counter it, and India becomes joke for liberals to defame.
Rahul, I am at pain to join you in saying that where is INB, Information and Broadcasting?
Mr. Murugan.
Okay. Of course, INB, IOS, Minister of State is Mr. Murugan, and the INB cabinet minister is what is his name?
I can't even recollect his name.
I don't even recollect his name on top of Anurag Thakur.
He's busy watching cricket, sir. He's busy watching cricket.
Busy watching it. You don't even know him, right? It doesn't come top of the mind. A political analyst who knows most of these politicians by name and even by face and then know them personally, you don't recollect his name quickly. That is the action of INB. And it's very difficult to explain why these people are not taking action. Even when there are several YouTube channels that are showcasing a wrong narrative, no actions are being taken. Fortunately, at least they went after the social media, Twitter and YouTube to not show that women being paraded, at least to stop that much. But beyond that, I think government should take a lot more actions on them, especially sensitive information like this. They should actually act on. Unfortunately, they are not doing it.
Last question, please. Thank you. Shmati, somebody was wondering, why is it that you donate every time? You're donating out of the kindness of your heart. Thank you once again, Shmati. And her question, please. Sriram, why Modi is not acting on the Manipur issue? In my place, everyone is saying Modi is busy with foreign visits and concentrating on other issues.
Shmati, I don't agree to that point of view. In fact, Home Minister visited there, stayed there, and then hands-on Manipur. Modi sometimes doesn't talk about it, doesn't mean that he is not taking action. He does. And when he does, he comes, heavily on the perpetrators. But unfortunately, in this particular issue, Modi probably lost the ploy. 70 days back, this is where the question keeps coming back. If the government, of course, knew this 70 days back, this such parading happened because it was a public parade, and the FIR was lodged on May 18th, which means this incident, everybody was aware of it. They should have been prepared to, at least they should have arrested, taken action, and, they should have been prepared for such a outrage from the public. I think that's where Modi lost the ploy, and then, probably the opposition was much more smarter in, taking all the, taking everybody for a ride. But otherwise, The government is highly sensible and then acting on it, in my humble opinion. They control the violence within the first 4 to 8 weeks itself, and then they have been maintaining that. And there is as I told you, one should read about the terrain of Manipur, right? It's just a valley surrounded by hills, and then that some portions of the hills is bordering with Myanmar. So the perpetrators, terrorists, could come from there, cross over, shoot over, and then just escape, come back in the night, fire a torch, and then escape to Myanmar. So it's a very difficult to control. But if they take a very assertive action, then significant amount of collateral damage would be there, which the government would be blamed for that also. So I think that's where the balancing act had to be done. But they should have been prepared for this PR exercise. They should have been prepared for this propaganda. And that's where they missed it, in my humble opinion.
Thank you very much, Sriramji. And viewers, I hope you liked it. We are not taking sides here. But we are saying that when you have a terrain like the way it is, and the valley is full of one community and the hills are with the other one, and the people living in the hills are actively trying to stop the people from the valley from acquiring lands in the hills, you have a problem there. India is for everyone, right? And the scheduled tribe, it comes with double quotes. And Meiteis are also tribes. Why can't they own the land there? See, don't get emotional because you are being exploited for that. That's the point here. Thanks for watching again. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Namaskar.